going to do this live not only from Facebook, but we're also live on YouTube and we're live on several different streams, basically, guys. So bear
All
with
the
us.
streams.
But we're really excited about what we're going to talk about today. Sharon is actually going to be interviewing me, and let me make sure this is. How does that look,
I
Sharon?
think it
We're
looks
good to
good.
go.
Yeah.
Do I need to raise it up a little bit? All right, good. All right.
Like, so many different angles.
I know it's
So
kind of
many different like.
weird slash creepy. Oh my goodness. Yeah. All right.
Well,
So I think everybody can see us.
well, welcome everyone. I always have to. I just like to go. It's like the radio side in me, that radio experience. Where I'm like, welcome everyone. My name is Sharon Gutierrez. I'm with Compliments of Sharon.
And I am Tiffany Fambro with Bill Body Wealth.
Yes, and today we're talking about stress.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
This is going to be a good conversation because I think, Sharon, that a lot of women, just people in general, not just women, can relate. Like,
oh yeah,
everybody can relate to stress. I just did a speaking engagement on a conference on Friday about stress, and like literally everybody in the workshop afterwards was like, "I needed that." like I needed that.
Yeah. Well, as we're getting ready, we're launching our 30 day to uplevel your life program. So that is live. Link is in the bio comment description. It's somewhere.
Yes.
But that's live and going. And so as we are starting to have these conversations about upleveling your life, well, some of the first things that are coming up is this stress. Like I'm stressed. I'm stressed at work. I'm stressed about life. I'm stressed about losing weight. I'm stressed about starting the program. You know, it's just like, whoa, guys. So I wanted to actually take this time today. So as you guys know, we do our inspired conversations where we get on here and we talk about kind of just like what's going on. And these are all the conversations that we're having offline, and we want to have them online and be able to share because we think there's some value in it. And so today I wanted to talk about stress. So Tiffany, I'm going to be interviewing a little bit more than normally. So if it seems weird that I'm like asking questions, that's what we're doing today. So first of all, like what is stress?
So stress is the body's reaction or response to any sudden change. That can be physical, mental, or emotional. I mean, stress could be, hearing a noise outside that's loud and you kind of jump. Your body just had a reaction. That is a stressful moment. It's not extreme, but it is a stressful moment. Stress can be positive, so you can have happy stress. So if you just had a child or you're getting ready for a wedding, those are great events, but it might be stressful because you're gotta hurry up and get things together. So it's kind of a positive stress. On the flip side, of course, you can have negative stress. Somebody dies, you get into a car accident, you get a flat tire, you're on 285 at 5 o'clock traffic in Atlanta. That's negative stress. So there's different types of stress.
So what are some of the effects that like stress can have on your body?
So stress can be, I'll say this, there's a spectrum. You can have very low levels of stress, and then you have extremely high levels of stress. Low levels of stress aren't going to hurt you too much. Actually, low levels of stress is kind of a good thing.
That's where our optimal performance is, right? Is that if we have a little bit of stress, so it doesn't have to be a bad word, like completely.
Exactly. Okay. When you have those low levels, you want some stress because the little bit of stress is going to push you, like you said, to your optimal performance, where it's like, okay, I got a little stress, it's my motivator, or it's getting me prepared to do something. It's when the stress gets extreme.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of you all can relate, whether you own a business or you have a career
or a family. Honestly,
too.
I think there's definitely like we can get stressed out by a lot of different things, and some people are more like susceptible to stress, right? Like certain personalities or even genetics or like brain chemistry.
Especially if you grew up in a home where you have mental health issues already. Your mom or a parent or a spouse is dealing with issues, so you're more susceptible to just having reactions, more reactions to stress.
Yeah.
But stress in and of itself isn't bad. It's just that continuum that I'm describing. So to answer your question, Sharon, if you have high levels of stress, it can contribute to heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure. I always give my whenever I do a speaking engagement, I give the story of being chased by a lion. If you're being chased by a lion and your body starts to you start to sweat, your heart starts to beat, your blood pressure starts to rise, and you start booking it, that's a good thing. That's the type of stress you want. But so many times, what people don't understand is that our brains, even when we're not being chased by a lion, sees the same thing. So you can be sitting in your car, your body is going to be reacting the exact same way if you have high levels of stress,
Right.
just as if you're being chased by a lion. You're going to start sweating, your heart might start racing, you might start having palpitations and difficulty breathing. You might start to cry. I mean, you may have emotional stress. So there's so many things that high levels of stress can do that
Hmm.
negatively affect the body. And if you do have a mental health disorder, whether it's I'm just throwing out examples, bipolar or depression or schizophrenia, stress will make it worse.
Right. So like someone like I always been like really open about it because I like have anxiety. I've dealt with
Mhm.
that over the years. So like that makes me more prone to stress, like or a stronger reaction to it, right?
Well, I will say this, everybody handles their anxiety different.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're a corporate exec and you've been under stress for a long time because your job is just so stressful.
Mm-hmm.
So some people can have high levels of anxiety and not really show it outwardly. It's just internal because they've gotten so used to such a high level of stress.
Right.
Not saying that it's healthy because they could be having other types of unhealthy coping mechanisms like drinking alcohol or drug abuse. So on the outside, it might appear that they're actually handling it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas somebody else, let's say someone that stays home with their children,
Right.
they may have two kids and they're under stress and they have a breakdown, they have a meltdown, they're crying. It's so their tolerance of it may be lower than that corporate exec just because they're a new parent, they're not used to that.
Mm-hmm.
So that plays a part in it too. So it doesn't necessarily mean if you have anxiety, doesn't mean that you're gonna, have less tolerance of stress.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how you react to it.
Right.
So I would say that different people respond differently. And especially if you have lived life like your whole life has been stressful,
Mm-hmm.
you build up a tolerance. It makes you, they call it the hardiness scale. There's a
Ooh,
scale out there
never heard
called,
about that. The hardiness scale. What's
yeah,
that? I'm like, wait,
this is
what?
my public health side coming out, but there's
Yeah.
there's a scale called the hardiness scale, and the
Mm-hmm.
whole concept of it is, I hate to say it but be so frank, but it's kind of like how hard are you,
Mm-hmm.
how much to a degree can you tolerate stressful
Ooh.
situations. And a lot of times it's people that have been under stressful situations, excuse me, all the time, like military people.
Yeah.
They can handle stressful situations if they've been in combat,
Mm-hmm.
like they're used to it. Doesn't mean that
Right.
they won't have PTSD, but it does mean that if they're in a situation where they have to quickly kind of get focused, they know how to do that because they've been in that situation before.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas other people may just break down at something really small because they're lower on the hardiness scale. They never had to deal with a lot, so their tolerance is
So, I mean, in your experience, so for those of you guys that are just now tuning in, we're
lower.
on here. So, you notice we kind of switch up the format today. We're actually doing a little more interview style. We're talking about stress. And I mean, this is really like Tiffany, this is her zone of genius. It's amazing to hear. I mean, her background, because you have the background in public health, you have so much knowledge on this particular topic. And as we are talking about upleveling our life, understanding this basic principle and talking about what stress is and how we respond to stress. And my next question is actually, how does stress affect our weight? Right? I think is really
Mm,
important. It's like as we're talking about upleveling our life. So not only just like how does it affect our weight, how does it affect our just like productivity, like some of those things. There's a lot of unintended consequences. And so, I mean, that's really my next question. So it is this stress, like as we're talking about it, we kind of know what it is, but how does it affect us physically? And like as people are talking about weight loss,
mhm.
how does it affect weight loss?
Stress affects weight loss a lot.
A lot.
So let me break it down into two sectors. So you're going to have the stress on the outside, kind of the surface stress that's
Mm-hmm.
affecting weight, but then you're going to have internal stress.
Mm,
So that surface stress is things like my life is stressful.
right.
I have this, whatever it is stressing me out. And because of that, I want to eat more.
Mm,
That ties into that emotional
the
eating.
emotional
So a
eating.
lot of times people feel like I'm stressed out and I don't have a healthy outlet, so I'm just going to reach for food because I've grown accustomed to allowing the food to soothe me, to make me
Mm-hmm.
feel better, give me relief in that moment. So that's kind of the part that stress plays, and then before you know it, you're gaining weight and you're like, whoa, where did this come from? And it could even be a person who had
Right.
been healthy for a long period of time, or they have been working out, but life changes, life happens, especially if you have a baby and
Mm-hmm.
suddenly your body has physically changed. You feel, that anxiety and Now you're using food to comfort you. You're at home with the baby all the time, whatever it may be, or a job or a move, right? So it's that physical on the outside stress. Now, there's also internal stress. So if you're a person who may be internalizing your stress
Mm-hmm.
and you're using unhealthy food, and that unhealthy food is causing inflammation in your body, you have that internal physiological stress that you're putting on your organs. So not only do you mentally feel the stress,
Right.
your body physically is stressed. And people whose body is physically stressed and they're under constant inflammation, they're going to have weight gain. They're going to have probably issues with joints and pain and different physical ailments because their body is internalizing and they actually have an internal stress.
So it's like that's crazy to me. Like as we're talking, like I'm just like processing how many different ways we can be affected by stress.
Yes.
I mean, we kind of think, I mean, honestly, like that's a whole nother topic as far as like, our healthcare system and like all of that. But I mean, it sounds like it could be a really big like root issue.
Oh gosh, stress is the root of stress is truly the root of all evil.
Yeah.
Y'all. I'm gonna be honest. High levels of stress, not the
Yeah.
low levels, but the high levels of stress that we cannot seem to get control of.
Right.
And I think it ties into other things. So let's say that it's the opposite end. I know people that are basically workoutaholics. Like all they do is work out to the point where that if you work out too much, you will stress your body.
Yeah.
Your cortisone levels, which is the natural hormone in your body, will shoot up. I mean, you have a lot of hormones in your body, but cortisol really adds body fat to your belly fat, to your midsection.
So that was kind of the maybe I'm showing my age actually, cortisol, because wasn't that like everyone was talking about that, like was it 10 years ago?
Yeah, because there was like
it was like all the
that come
supplements
out
and it was like cortisol is making you fat.
Yes.
and like no one knew what it was. And so you're saying it is true, but like maybe that all of, I mean, obviously marketing took it and people went ham and decided that this like all of these things were going to be the answer to it, because cortisol was the thing making you fat, when it was like actually like, okay, maybe the supplements, but actually looking at the root issue would provide more long lasting.
The root issue is you need to figure out a way to decrease your stress the natural way. And there are a lot of natural ways. And if you can do that, whether you're over exercising, whether you're overeating, one thing I tell people, overdoing anything is not a good thing. You can even die of water poisoning. People don't even realize that water is great for you, but you can even overdo water. So I say all that to say, it's about finding that middle ground. You don't want to, go on some super, super, super extreme diet and work out. That's just going to stress you. Then on the flip side, you don't want to use food to compensate and relieve your stress, because that's just going to make you gain weight and yet again stress you. So you have to kind of find your rhythm, find what I call the sweet spot, the sweet spot method, which is what I'm going to be teaching in our 30-day program. But when you find the sweet spot and you use the sweet spot method and you stay there, that's where you want to be. Of course, we are going to have some bouts of anxiety, bouts of depression. That's just life. But it's really how you react and respond to it that makes the difference. And it makes a difference in your weight. It makes a difference in your relationships. It makes a difference in your finances. It makes a difference in your productivity, whether it's with work or your career or your business. So it makes all the difference. And so stress, depending on how you can respond to stress, it can make you or break you.
Well, that's why when we talk about business all the time, and we talk about, I mean, that's kind of, I tend to stay in that zone a little bit more. But as we kind of branch from like business and talking about personal development and like actually mindset, and it's something that when you're practicing it and you're actually focusing on that fundamental piece, like everything else like falls into place. And that is directly correlated to how you're dealing with stress.
Yes.
And like, so how the stronger, like the more time that you're taking to ground yourself and like doing meditation and like all these different things that you can do in personal development, then the more you're able to handle stress, and which actually helps with weight loss. Like it all does actually flow together, and it's all going back to kind of that central theme.
Yes. And Sharon, I tell people, my company is called Build Body Wealth. And I tell people your body is your physical body, but it's also the mind body.
Yeah.
And the mind body and the physical body, they work together. They work hand in
Right?
hand. And when you can build body full 360-degree, when you can build body wealth from that
Mm-hmm.
perspective, just what you described, that's when your life really has a rhythm. It has a flow. And you can feel it. You can tell the difference.
I love that mind body. Like,
Yes.
I mean, just like, I mean, I've heard you say it before, but for some reason, like hearing it in this kind of context and talking about stress, like it makes so much sense and why some people are like, we feel like that's kind of the last thing, we're just
Mhm.
busy on this project. Like, I can't focus on that part right now when it's like, really, we have to kind of flip it. I know for
Yeah.
me, it's been a process for sure, but definitely like making that a fundamental part of my day every single day, multiple times a day. I was just like, I feel like the extra dramatics, like for sure, like this needs hand gestures, but it's like, no, it's. I was talking to someone just the other day, and she was telling me about adding in meditation into her schedule and like that
Yes.
kind of thing, and I was like, and she was like, oh yeah, someone said you could do it like throughout the day and like
Yes.
pause, and I was like, oh yeah, I forget, like that's not like not everyone does that because I'm
Right.
like I need for myself, like I live a pretty fast-paced life and everything, so there's definitely days that I take in that like I got 15 minutes or 30 minutes, and so
Yes.
pop in that guided meditation or whatever and just
And
kind of
do
zen
it.
out for a few minutes, and it's so powerful, and I always come out feeling so much better, so much able, like clear-minded, able to have those conversations, able to strategize, like whatever it is that I'm doing, I can show up more fully. And I mean, then it starts to become that whole like thing about like it's kind of like it builds that momentum. It's a landslide. Like the more you focus on yourself, like it really does begin to flow
Yes.
into every other area of your life.
And Sharon, a lot of people still think meditation is like that hippie,
Yeah.
Woodstock
It's not.
or Buddha, and that is so not true. There are so many different types of meditation out there, guys.
Hmm.
I don't even want to go into all the different types, but there's a lot of different types. You can do long meditations, you can do short meditations. I mean, everybody nowadays is starting to figure out ways, people that are truly
Yeah.
successful and truly productive, ways to add simple meditations into their day. It does not have to be like pure silence. You can even do a
Yeah.
walking meditation. You
Right.
can do, yeah,
Never
you
done
can
that.
do. When I jog, I tell people that jogging for me is my prayer. That's like when I first started getting into my healthy lifestyle journey. I love jogging because really it's my meditation.
Hmm.
Yes, I do like a regular sit, quiet, focus on mind. But I'm jogging, when I'm running, my mind is at ease. It is silence. It is, even if I'm listening to music, I'm able to, my mind is
Yeah.
able to like zone out. That is a meditation. So you don't have to, be in a dark with a candle and
Like, yeah, the
or be
whole
at a Buddhist
thing.
temple. Although I've been at a Buddhist temple, but you don't have to get your meditation
Yeah.
in. And that's something we're going to talk about in the 30 days, because Sharon, my biggest goal with this program with my company is to let everyday people know this lifestyle that we're trying to build, this lifestyle that we're trying to teach, it doesn't have to be difficult.
No.
It can be simple, it can be easy, it can be very easily just infused into your on the go everyday lifestyle.
Okay. So to honor time, like we'll have to wrap up here soon. But what are like three actionable things that people can do to stop to like, if like let's say someone's already enrolled in the program or you
Mhm.
guys are thinking about it, but what are three things that we can do right now, to start implementing into our daily routines to help alleviate stress or mindset shifts or whatever? What are
Mhm.
three tips?
I would say decide on when you're going to take some time out for your day
Yeah.
and just do something small for yourself. Whether you go on a walk, whether you even I look at funny memes in the middle of the day because I'm a Pinterest freak. So I'll go on Pinterest and I
She
look up
is. I've seen her. I'm like,
funny.
that is quite the collection. It's a very intense collection. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
love Pinterest. But yeah, it's super simple things. Magazines. I tell people, look at magazines, look at
Mhm,
something funny. So the idea is just to get your mind off of the stressful
mhm.
event. So take a little bit of time every single day in your calendar, five
Yeah.
minutes, whatever it is, and do something to get your mind away from whatever's stressing you out, whether it's work. And even if I listen to audibles, I love listening to books
Mhm.
on DVD, CD, whatever.
Right.
um, if you are having a long commute, I know commutes sometimes stress people, get downloadable books that you can listen to on the way home. It doesn't matter what the book is, but it'll kind of help you take your mind off of traffic, right?
Right.
Especially here in Atlanta. So make some time, do something, kind of distract you a little bit, something fun, something to take your mind off of it. and slowly increase the amount of time that you spend doing those things. Those are the three ways I would say immediately that you can reduce your stress. Of course, we are going to talk a whole lot more about stress.
It's going to be a whole full-on topic. I have to throw in my 2 cents before we wrap up because I think for me too, another angle. I always have like the more intense version. I feel like you have like this, like everything's so eloquent, and then I'm like, and then my thought is, and that I've learned with like stress in general, right, is that I have learned to be very in tune and very aware of what's stressing me out.
Yes.
And like start trying to, instead of just like going in the circle of like I'm stressed all the time, but just being super aware of it, and then actually trying to be intentional and take action to stop whatever cycle is going on. Like for example, one thing that used to always stress me out, still does, right? It's like, oh, let's say like the oil engine's light or something like that. Yeah. And instead of doing something about it, you know how you like drive around and you're just like watching and you're like, oh, I'll get it. But it causes anxiety like every time you get in your car. Like that's what I'm talking about. So talk about like I'm stressing myself out.
Confronting.
Yes. So I like
you need to confront. Yeah, that's what she said.
So yes,
that's a deeper part of dealing with
this. Okay, I guess it is deeper. I'm like, but somebody needs to hear it today, and I think like Tisha or Charity, if you guys are on, we're gonna have to like cut that out as a clip because honestly, like that's the thing. Like it's like look at head on, and that's kind of like my challenge. True. Is like okay. So I now like am aware, like, okay, when I'm stressing myself out over something that I can deal with in literally 3 seconds, instead of dragging it out for 3 weeks, just call and make the appointment. It takes 5 seconds.
And Sharon, when we start talking about this, and I'm excited about that you brought this up, because when we talk about in the 30-day program, there are some of you. There is a person in your life that is, they are the stress. There is no doubt. And you know it.
Oh my gosh, you're going there.
You know it. Since you brought it up, you already know they're stressing you out. You're having, you know you need to confront it. Whether it's a family member, a toxic friend, whatever it is, or somebody at your job, you need to talk to them. You need to confront this, and it's only going to get worse if you don't. And so that's something that I think also kind of ties into this idea of confidence and facing fears that we're going to be talking about in 30-day program. And yes, that definitely digs into stress. You hit the nail on the head. But it's something that needs to be said. I think, unfortunately, there's so many of it. I've been guilty of it too, where I'm like, oh, just let it, I'll push it under the rug. I'll talk to them next week. I'll deal with it later. And eventually that little mouse, that little kitten is going to turn to a lion. And
so it goes back to the lion that was from the beginning of the live. Yes. Now it's the lion again. So that brings us full circle, obviously. So you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And we talk about stress. And so hopefully you got a little bit of something from it. Do me a favor and comment if there was one takeaway or no takeaways and you got nothing from it, and just tell me that too, which I think is ridiculous because of course you'll get something. There's always an aha moment. And honestly, for me, just refocusing. Sometimes you hear things and you've already heard them before and you're like, oh, this is nothing new. But I don't like that attitude. I like the mindset of being open. I'm like, okay, so hearing this actually is just kind of sparked in me like, I need to continue to make that a priority because I forgot. I wasn't actively thinking about how much that affected every area of my life. And so thank you for bringing that up for me. I'm excited. Absolutely. So you guys, 30-day program, it is going on. It is in the description. So click the link, then look at it, and then sign up. If not, our ads are going to follow you around. You're going to see us talking for the next few days.
And another thing, guys, if you like this, we are doing this just even throughout the program. We're going to do these conversations. So if there are topics that you want us to talk about more, I do health and wellness, but Sharon you guys don't realize it. Sharon, she's so beautiful. She's a tech guru. This girl, I'm like, I don't know what you just said, because she spoke it in like Silicon Valley language. She is so smart when it comes to everything, but especially tech. So if you guys have questions that you want us to answer about tech, background, anything with technology and marketing and social media, let us know. Tell us in the comments too, because that's something that we can talk about. We don't hit it often because
Mm-hmm.
we talk about a lot about lifestyle and self-care and development.
Yeah.
But if you want to get a little bit more technical and you have some questions and you want Sharon, not me, you want Sharon to answer it, let us know in the comments because we're going to be doing this a lot more often.
Yes. Thank you for tuning in to Inspired Conversations with Sharon and Tiffany.
Bye, YouTube. Bye, Facebook.
I know we clap for ourselves. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Oh, let's see. I think. Oh, there we go.
Oh, we're still going. Hey.
I'm done.